legends, I hope you're all fantastic. On today's video, I want to take a look at the STL Tones new Meridian 65 amp model, as well as their AmpHub modeling suite. What I think is interesting about this, unlike a lot of other manufacturers, is that when you go and buy a particular plugin from STL Tones, you load it into this master suite rather than having to load up an entirely new plugin, or rather than have a plugin ecosystem where you can't use certain aspects of one plugin from a manufacturer in another plugin by the same manufacturer. I think this is pretty much the way guitar amp modeling plugins should run if you have multiple products from the same company, where everything just goes into the one master suite. You can buy this outright, or you can get it on a subscription basis. I think it's $10 a month and you get access to everything, and they add stuff every single month, or it's $100 a year, so a little bit of a discount there. Alternatively, you can buy AmpHub and then just buy individual plugins as you like. So they've just released this new Meridian 65 based on the PD6505. When I think of that particular amp model and that particular tone, I know a lot of people are going to say Van Halen, but I think of being in high school, I think of hearing Killswitch Engage for the first time. So let's cop a vibe from that and let's hear it in a mix straight up. I'll break down what I did there really quickly for you, and then we'll hear something maybe a little more Brown inspired, and we'll also try to hear the crunch and the clean channels on this particular amp model. Before we do that, the overall plugin is fairly straightforward. It operates like most other amp modeling plugins out there, where you have your input signal here. What's really cool though is that you can hit this little button here and just play a bunch of chords into it, and it will basically calibrate the input stages based on the output of your pickup. So let's do that. So it reckons set it there. I just use that as a starting point. You've got an input gate, you've got a tuner, you have a pre-effects section on here where you can load in mostly overdrives. There is a compressor. I mean, they've got an HM2 model in here if you want to do the chainsaw style thing. I should remind myself to check that out while we're doing this video. There's stuff like the precision drive. You've got the Andy Timmons signature overdrive in here. I'm guessing a clone on here. It's kind of like all the classic drives you would expect, with some interesting choices like this Wampler triple rec. There's a post effects section in here with stuff like delay, reverb, modulation effects, post EQs. This is all not active at the moment. And you've got your cab picker in here where you can move virtual microphones on a virtual speaker cabinet. So I'm going with V30s for this one at the moment. I've blended a little bit of a 57 with this Ribbon 122. You've got high and low pass filters. You can change the angle of the microphone on there as well as the distance. What's interesting as well is this resonance control as well. And of course, you've got the actual amp model in here as well. I've got it at stock settings. There's also a MIDI setup in here as well if you want to do that. But let's just hear it at stock settings, and then I'll kick a boost in. So yeah, it's doing that 5150 6505 thing. I'll go with the Tube Screamer. What I did On that particular track though, I had one track boosted with the Tube Screamer, one boosted with the SD one, just for something different, either the SD one or the OD one on there. And from memory, I just dipped the mids a little bit, gave it some sizzle with the high end, and I actually gigged with a 6505 combo for a few years. That was my main touring rig that I left in the US. So every time Ragdoll toured there before I went Fractal, I had a 6505 combo, and that's basically how I used to set it, and I thought it sounded wicked basically every single night. So this is pretty much the tone that I used on that little track that you heard. Now you do have a bunch of artist presets included in there for the various amp models, and if you're using the subscription for AmpHub, then you do get access to all these amp models in here. I think I will do a video at another time going through a bunch of my favorite amp models in there. You can also load in your own impulse responses as well. Maybe let's just hear good old LT TV Mix 7 with this setup, and I'll show you what the resonance control does, because I think it adds quite a lot. So that is thick and greasy, and then we can go in and add effects to that. For example, adding a graphic EQ just to kind of hype up the high mids, pull out a little bit of that low end stuff. Now, I like on the delay that they've got a low pass and a high pass filter, as well as depth and rate on there. And you can also set it up so that it's synced to the tempo if that's something you want to do. But with basically any digital delay, I like pulling out a whole bunch of high end on there. So let's set that to around 4K, little bit of high pass filter on there and a bit of modulation. I've already got the wet signal and the feedback down. 600 milliseconds, we get this. And then you don't have different reverb types in here. You just kind of have a generic reverb block. But what I find is, wet around 25, 30%. A little bit of pre-delay would actually be quite nice on there. And again, a bit of high pass and low pass gives you this. Nice and wet. Now, one thing that I would love to see added to this is a stereo pitch detune. If you want to do the kind of like Van Halen balance thing, I guess you can use the digital chorus on there to set the rate quite low and the depth quite low, and it will give you like a faux widening effect. Flick the chorus off for now. Of course, you can kind of go for more of a smooth, dare I say, Soldano-y type of tone with this if you pump up the mids and back off the high end, give it a little bit of presence as well. And we have this. I'm going to swap over to my Strat so that I can show you the crunch and the clean channel as well. Now, since I'm swapping guitars, let's use this pickup calibrator again. And these are low output single coils, so we get this. All right, I think we're ready to roll there. Let's just swap over to the crunch channel now. I'll leave the gain where it is. I like the low end response on this quite a lot as well. It's pretty satisfying and nice and thumpy. Let's hear the clean channel now. You notice that turning on that bright switch did add quite a lot. I'm going to add that chorus back and maybe give it a little bit more depth and rate. Let's see if we can get like an 80s inspired clean sound out of this. I think what I'll do to that is add a compressor up front. So we have this basic guitar compressor here, and I'm actually just going to leave that at stock settings, but in post, let's do this. Maybe let's lose the delay and we'll lose the chorus. I'm going to use the studio style compressor in here, and then we'll add, let's use, what should we do? Let's use a space verb and get rid of this other verb on here. So this can add some shimmer in here. I'll just bypass it for now. So we get this. Thanks so much for checking out the video, and a shout out to James at STL Tones for sending me a free license of the plugin to check out. I'm not getting paid to do this video, but they did send that license out for free so I can try all the candy in here. I would love to hear from you all. Is this a plugin you've tried? Do you own this? Do you do the subscription? Or is it something that you would look to do in the future? And of course, as always, let me know about the tones in the comment section. If you want to chat more about it, you can join the Discord server, which is linked in the video description, or support me directly on Patreon or by buying some of the music I make with my band Ragdoll. Have a fantastic day. I'll see you all next time.